Hey, it's Old Gaming Guru. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my mid-game experience, what I'm doing to actually tweak my character for more damage output and thus make the game more enjoyable. This game is getting quickly difficult as I rise up in the ranks. And let's see, so at about 10 days out, I'm at rank 1397 worldwide. So I feel good about that. That's actually a big plus. So, however, I've noticed that the swarms of mobs are getting bigger, and I'm also starting to struggle a little bit more with bosses. So I'm doing some respecking right now, and I'm going to first show you what my experience is like in an instance, and then I'll show you the changes I've made to my build, and hopefully that'll help you out as you do your builds. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and jump into, let's just do an easier rupture. And let's see, I'm up to 83 right now, so let's drop down to 77. And we're not going to infuse, actually, we'll throw an infusion on there. And then let's go ahead and go in. All right, so I'm focusing more on my offhand, or what I call my passive damage. Not just because of the fact that my auto attack keeps turning off, which drives me nuts. But because I get a nice AoE out of it that triggers my offhand attacks. So when I use my special abilities here, you see I'm using them? You know, any attack triggers your offhand abilities. But for clearing out large packs of mobs and also taking down bosses quickly, I'm finding I'm getting more damage out of my special ability triggering my offhand abilities than I am. See right there, 800,000, 800,000, 800,000, 800,000. Okay, and this is just driving me nuts. Okay, so let's see what kind of damage. I'm just taking this easy so I can see what kind of damage I'm getting for different attacks. But my weapon seems to be doing about 200,000 a hit. And my sparks seem to be doing a lot more damage and more frequently. So right now, this is really kind of what's necessitated my build change. So I'm putting more into my offhand versus my skill ability, which is one-handed. Okay, and so my one-handed ability is what's going to drive me nuts because it keeps turning off auto attacks. I'm not sure why. Okay, so I spam those AoEs that I've got is my specials. That triggers. Okay, so trucks just stand there. Okay, so I'm hitting 300,000 with my sword on bosses, and my special ability is hitting for 400, and it looks like my sparks is triggering, I mean, it could be anywhere from 500,000 to 100,000. But right now, I'm pretty darn survivable. And I know I'm not really doing pro effort here on this. I'm just trying to get an example and see how, okay, so boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if increasing my attack speed would help my sword damage. I mean, but for just mass clearing of packs and bosses, it looks like my offhand ability and my special ability is what's really doing the trick. So I'm going to start putting more emphasis on damage in those areas, which means I need to start putting more emphasis on general damage, critical damage, and other things that provide an overall damage benefit. But as you can see here, as you create that spark trail, your offhand ability, you've just got a massive amount of damage going out. Okay, come on, give it to me. Yeah, I saw that special doing 1,000,000 damage at a time, which isn't great, but you know, it takes him down fairly quick. All right, let's finish this up and go see what the boss is like. Grab my treasures. And by the way, this bug or whatever it is on one-handed and it turning off the auto attack when you shift. Right now, I've only seen it happen on the one hand, so I'm not sure what's up with that. If that's just a bug or. But it's really, really frustrating. So the other things I'm doing too is I'm putting a little bit more into lifesteal. And I better hurry up here. Lifesteal is defense, a little bit more into health regen. Just trying to get all those things. The other thing I like too is I seem to get a more consistent pattern of groupings on my sparks when I actually use my special abilities rather than my skill ability. Okay, time to get some treasures and get out of here. I mean, that's it. So, you know, what you're seeing here is, okay, my one hand looks like it's doing about 120. I just saw 2,000,000 pop up on my special. Now let's go ahead and try out the boss. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what it's like. Okay, now I just made the mistake of turning off my one-hander again. Okay, start off with just hit the boss. Boss is already down, and that was really due to my shadow strike and was not me hitting the boss, as you can see. So that special ability combined with the number of sparks that, which is my offhand, really takes down bosses and other mobs quickly. So there you have it. So what I'm thinking right now, the new strategy is going to be really simple, which is really to try to put a lot more damage into my lightning and my other general damage abilities, such as strength, regular flat damage, and also to special abilities that come from legendaries that you actually create yourself. So let's go ahead and go back and take a look at what I'm doing. All right, so let's get all this stuff. Okay, got 3 stat points out of that. That's good. Let's talk about damage and where this is all coming from and what I'm moving towards. So before I was actually leaning more towards purple legendaries that actually had one-handed damage, my skill damage on it. Now I'm actually going to be looking for more flat damage and also critical chance to affect me globally, so it affects all my attacks, not just my one-handed attacks. So one-handed, my skill like spear and magery and other skills like that is only going to affect my actual ability itself and also to my special abilities. Damage, critical, and other multipliers as well are all global, so they affect everything. So that's what I'm going to be speccing into, is to get more global damage rather than just one-handed, because one-handed, just from what I could see from the numbers there, was just not doing the trick as much. as actually my spark, which was just cleaning up bosses and mobs really, really quickly. Spark is pretty cool because it seems to attach to bosses and just keep doing damage to them, even if you're just running around trying to survive. Okay, so let's go back, not open world, and jump into my fort. And let's take a look at what exactly I'm doing. All right, so first thing and foremost is make sure you're getting all the experience you need. First thing you really need to do is go ahead and increase your stat pool. And you're really going to focus really quickly. If I click I, this is going to open up my stat points. And see, I'm very heavily weighted into strength. Why strength? It's flat damage. So every point of strength that I add, I get, oh, I clicked agility somehow there. But anyways, every point of strength is going to give me at least a point of, or every point I put into strength gives me a point or more of strength. Okay, so that's just flat damage. That affects all your abilities. Obviously, agility is going to be important. You can get a lot of that from stats and also other things such as cards, but that's your crit chance. It also increases your lifesteal chances. So having lifesteal helps because it helps you keep your pool up rather than using a health potion. Stamina obviously is max health, so there's no damage there. So agility also gives you damage, and I could see even making a case for making a flat crit build. Endurance, nothing there, but it does increase your energy regeneration. Why is energy regeneration important? It's important because the faster you regenerate energy, the more you can throw off your special abilities and trigger big pools of your passive, your offhand. All right, so luck. Critical damage. So luck is obviously important because when you crit, you want to do the most damage possible. You saw me popping off those 2 million spark hits. So that is obviously going to play, or actually it wasn't spark, it was my shadow strike. So luck is going to play a big part in how much more damage you do after you crit something. Okay, dexterity. Attack speed is important. Obviously the more you attack, the greater your chance to crit something is, and the more you crit something, the more you hit something is, the more of your special ability or your offhand you're going to throw off. Wisdom, I don't see putting any points in here whatsoever. But anyways, it's going to give you this combat rating, and the combat rating just shows you how balanced you are right now, which I'm not quite sure what balanced means, but I'm assuming that it means that your one hand or your skill ability is in line with your offhand abilities. So that then produces a damage result. Okay, so I believe this is based on, so this is the base damage you do. So this number should go up because it's added to everything. So strength leads to base damage, and you want to find things that have base damage or base damage percent on it to further this build. My crit chance is really good. I'm not sure what going above 100 does. I don't think anything, but I am critting. I should be critting every time I hit. I get nearly 400% crit damage bonus. So this is got to be improved, but it's better than what I was. I believe in the last video I was running closer to 1600 damage. So I've actually increased it by nearly 50%. Armor and attack speed. Armor has nothing to do with damage, but you're going to need to be a little bit more tankier because you're going to get a lot more mobs and they do more damage on these higher levels. Attack speed is important, once again, because you need to hit more often to crit more often. Okay, there we go. And other things here, what I'm looking at is so I've got an okay lifesteal chance, 16%, so every 5 hits I should be getting life back. Energy regen is a stat I need to bring up. So I'm going to probably try and do that through gear and through other bonuses. And damage reduction is important because you want to go ahead and reduce the amount of damage you're taking. And mine right now is pitiful. I'm looking to do that through actually adding things to my number one item in my inventory, which is right here, which is your biggest overall multiplier. Make sure you're leveling your fossils up. You do that with these stones, and you can create the stones yourself, but make sure you're leveling this fossil up. Otherwise, you're just doing yourself a huge disfavor. All right, so if you do anything and listen to anything I say, is make sure you level that fossil. And one last thing I'm going to give you here is make sure also too you are trying to get as much possible into your offhand ability damage. Okay, so right now I'm getting 242. I'd like to see that number go up quite a bit. Okay, so there's a lot more stats, but the real core of this is you want your offhands to be triggered as much as possible. You can do it through your regular attacks, your auto attack. You can also do it through your special abilities. So, however, I'm going to be trying to do it more through using specials. Okay, my Q and my R button. And why? Because it seems to leave a bigger, more consistent pattern. And I am now relying on my offhands to do the majority of clearing for me and also to kill bosses. Okay. All right, so let's go over just minor tweaks that I made. Okay, so what I'm trying to do right now is to move into these new type of legendaries. And you can see here, this helmet is one I've created. To create this, you need to get a normal 4 item like this one right here. This bow here should be able to be converted into one of these brown gold legendaries by taking it over to a station I'll show you in a moment. But look at the bonus I get here. Gain 1% critical chance for every 10 strength. I have 488 strength, which means I get nearly 50% critical chance. So this one item right here kind of eliminates the need in some ways for what I get, what I put into agility, because this is going to raise my crit chance hugely. And check this one out. Just made this baby. I've got one with lightning damage bonus, which is huge attack speed. Plus, everything I hit within 5 meters, including my spark attacks, my offhand abilities, gets double damage if they're within 5 meters. Okay, so going down, I added this one for movement speed. Okay, so I've got 55 inventory slots. So check this out. I made this one. I got a good strength on here, but what's really important is this 1% damage bonus. That's 55% damage bonus right there. And I'm not sure if the stack, I believe it does. I've seen for some other builds that I believe you can possibly put this on a second item. But that 50% right there is a huge modifier to my damage. And I also put these two on, and I get for every 5 points in agility. So right there, I'm getting what? 9% more damage, 9%. There's 18% more damage. All right, what I'm moving away from is I'm trying to move away from just having stuff put into. So this relic is high on my list to improve on. All right, so I want to get rid of the stuff that just adds one-handed damage only. So this relic is something I want to actually convert into a new orange gold, whatever that is, color that is, item. Okay, so what else can I do to improve damage? Let's just go through our hideout really quick and figure it out. Okay, the first thing that you can do is you go to your workbench, and I can't craft that, I can't craft that, I can craft, so if it has specs remaining, see the bottom right hand corner, I can improve that. So let's see if I can improve my boss damage here. Upgrade. Okay, I can. Improve all your gear until there's no specs. Spec highly into damage. That's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do to improve your damage, get these rupture cards. Look at this one right here. It has a strength bonus. This one has a strength bonus. This one has a damage bonus of 25%. So when that pops up, I probably will grab that. The rupture cards appear when you get enough quartz. Quartz drops from bosses, so you got to be doing bosses. So make sure you're hitting the rupture card station often. And if you're not liking your damage output, respec it. Okay, so the other thing here is this monogram throne. This is actually where you create your uniques. Okay, so I've got 4 there. So if I want to, I can now pick a special ability for this bow or other weapon. Like if I wanted to do a dagger, I could do a dagger or one-handed. So, hey, check this out. Chances a spark will split into an additional spark. I think that's going to be pretty high on my list for my new sword. And do I have a sword here that can be created? Nope, doesn't look like it. But anyways, you get the gist. So this then, creating a legendary here with something that benefits my offhand is going to be a key part of my strategy. Disenchant everything you're not using. You need a ton of materials to go ahead and craft higher tier items. All right, so that's it for this side. So where other damage can I get? Offhand creating stations, crafting station. Blah. Sorry, it's a little early this morning. My brain's a little discombobulated. Still haven't had enough coffee. Here I can go ahead and add directly to my offhand damage with my 4 offhand pieces. And make sure you go ahead and do the dungeon and get your belt. It's all in the tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that, and you see that adds more damage to my spark. Okay. Also, upgrade. This may seem really easy or really easy to forget, but make sure you upgrade all your crafting stations. Then the final things you can do to improve your damage. This one seems like, why is this important? Getting dungeons is one of your best sources for getting high quality materials and weapons, so make sure you get your dungeon keys and do your dungeons, plus that gives you a ton of experience. Experience is important because it gives you more stat points. Then, alright, so stats we talked about. Okay, that's the I key. The J key is your skills tree, and what you are aiming for, see at the end here, you want to make sure you're hitting stuff with your skill, because that will raise the damage of the skill overall. And as that goes up, you can put more into your offhand abilities and general damage, and then your one hand will be just leveling on its own. This guy right here is also critical, and I'll explain why in a second, but then, I think I've already got it, so let's go ahead and talk to him. He allows me to trade all my trade materials for Elven faction. Elven faction also goes up with crafting. Elven faction is important because it's a huge source of damage that can be very easily overlooked. Alright, so once I actually get enough Elven faction, I can then start speccing into my Elven tree. And the Elven tree is awesome. So let me show you what exactly the Elven tree does. This route over here takes me towards damage nodes. This right here takes me towards crafting nodes. These two right here can be huge because it can basically give you an extra spec, so you can have an extra level for one of your traits, and this allows you to actually get double what you would normally get an epic craft. It also too gives you more materials, more keys, you use less resources when you craft, and also too it gives you additional inventory slots. Remember, I had a legendary that had additional 1 point damage for additional inventory slots. So these two right here give me 10% more damage, and that's kind of hidden in a tree. This also opens up new maps, and it gives me more scale for the Elven capital, which I have not been to yet. Other things, more experience. Why is experience important? More stat points, more strength. I get more gold now from actually going out and looting and selling, so it's all awesome. And then finally is I'm now speccing into damage reduction over here. I'll get some armor bonus, and then I can actually increase my armor directly over here. And this tree tends to level slowly, but it levels with your crafting, and it also levels with what you sell to the ambassador there. That is pretty much going to be the major things you need to do. Let me just give you a couple minor things. Dungeon keys are important. I told you dungeons are a great source of loot and also upgrades for gear. But these over here, let's take a look at them. Okay, so here are your fossil. Remember, your fossil is your most important piece of gear. Remember to level it constantly. But if I want to add more damage to stuff, I'm going to start crafting stuff. Okay, so if I want to increase right now my offhands, this is what this bench is for. I go to things that I want to increase and see if I can create these scraps. Those scraps are used at the offhand station. Didn't look like I had any, but this is where you create your offhand leveling. This is where you create your basic fossil leveling. So it creates these stones, as you can see. So I can make 10 more stones. I can always use more armor. I can always use more damage. And I can always use more one-handed damage. Okay, so those are your basic ones. And your advanced ones, okay, I can always use more damage, but I don't have enough of those. I can always use more armor. I can always use more damage reduction. And I can always use more spark damage. And then once I create those stones, I go ahead and right click on them and they're automatically added to my all-important fossil. And they're minute, but you get a lot of these, so make sure you're using them. That then allows you to go ahead and do as much damage as possible, so you're clearing out packs easily. You really want to clear out those mini bosses. And I think this strategy of using my specials, I'm still using my skill ability, but using my special skill ability to then trigger my offhands is going to allow me to go to higher levels. And so far from what I've seen in the videos, I think my strategy is right on. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to report back to you guys results. But that's the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, like, subscribe. Hey, throw me a note. I love talking to people. I love answering questions. Anyways, this is Old Gaming Guru for Dwarven Realms. I am over and out for today.